Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Let's start Japa. We'll chant one round with Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता as it is की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam for All session. Let's recite Bhagavad Gita verse. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 9, text 27. Does anyone need to go first?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada. Please accept.
Yes, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Jai Srila Prabhupada. 9:27. Yes, Prabhuji, go ahead.
Yat karosi yadasnasi yajjuhosi dadasi yat tapashyasi kaunteya tat kurusva madarpanam. Translation by Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Usha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranams, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Yat karosi yat asnasi, yat juhosi tadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurusva mad arpanam. Translation. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. Thank you.
Anyone else need to go first? We'll go in order now. Achintadev Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhuji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Mataji will help me.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Yat karoshi yad ashnasi,
Yat karoshi yat asnashi,
yad juhoshi dadasi
yat juhoshi dadasi
yat tapasyasi kaunteya,
yat tapasyasi kaunteya,
tat kurushva madarpanam.
tat kurushva madarpanam. Translation. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Next is Inba Inya. Jai Shri Mataji. Jai Ganesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Yat karoshi yat ashnashi, yat juhoshi dadashi yat tapasyashi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. Translation, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mataji, they have just come from the school. Maybe they will
After
call us. Yeah.
Lokesh. Not ready. Medha.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yat karoshi yat asnashi, yat juhoshi tadashi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurusva madarpanam. Translation. Whatever you do, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me.
Yes. Thank you. Saujanya Mataji and Pragya.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to the assembled devotees too. Yat karoshi yad ashnasi, yat juhosi dadashi yat tapasyashi kaunteya, tat kurushva mad arpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. Mataji, yesterday you told us the other shloka from Bhagavatam context, 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 36 one. Kayena vacha manasendreva. Yesterday when you were telling, we remembered when we were in a hostel, when we were studying, every day night, 8:30, they'll all ring the bell. We all have to switch off the lights, come out of our rooms and say this shloka. That's like your day has ended, and after 8:30, now nobody should switch on the lights in the rooms. If they have to study, they have to study in the hallway or outside in the study rooms, because they wanted to inculcate early to bed and early to rise. 5 o'clock Suprabhatam. So I was like, when you shared, oh my God, I know this shloka. It was, then I was thinking, where? Then I remember. I felt the Sai Baba College, they had all this nice spiritual bringing up. That was so nice, Mataji. I felt. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing
Got
that.
my memory.
Thank you. Pragna is going to recite.
Actually, she is Mataji. Okay. I thought she was.
Okay. Meanwhile, anyone who's ready can recite.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Then we pranam Jai Srila Prabhupada Jai Guru Maharaj.
Dandavat pranam Mataji. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Yat Krishnosi
Yat Karoshi.
Yat Karoshi Yadashnasi Yat Juhoshi Tadasi Yat Tatas Tapasyasi Kaunteya Tat Kurusya Madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Yat Karoshi Yadashnasi Yat Juhosi Tadasi Yat Tapasyasi Kaunteya Tat Kurusya Madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Not there?
No, Mataji.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else is ready?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Spurti.
Yat karoshi yadasnasi yat juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushvas madarpanam. Translation: whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Danas pranam. Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada.
Dandavat pranam Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yat karoshi yadasnashi yat juhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Translation: whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, you do that. Or you do that, O son of Kunti, as offering to me.
Okay. Mataji recited? You did.
No, Mataji.
You didn't, yeah.
Yat karoshi yadashnasi yat juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tad kurushva madarpanam. Translation: whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Mataji Prajna is going to tell.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yat karosi yat asnani
Ashnasi. Ashnasi.
ashnasi yat juhosi dadasi yat
Dadasi. Dadasi yat.
dadasi yat sapasyayi
Tapasyasi.
tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva mat arpanam. Translation: whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Mataji,
Yes, Inba.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yad karoshi yadashnasi yad juhosi dadasi yad tapasyasi kaunteya tad kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me.
Yes. Inia?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yad karoshi yad ashnashi yad juhoshi dasasi yad tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me.
Mataji is there?
No, Mataji.
No. Okay. So everyone has recited? Okay. I'll also recite Bhagavad Gita 9:27. Yat karoshi yad ashnasi yad juhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. There's a question here. So we will continue with our discussion on this verse from yesterday. Yesterday, what did we read? What did we hear? That Lord Krishna, what is the significance of this verse? Is this bhakti? Offering whatever you do, whatever you eat, is it bhakti or not? Offering everything that you do to the Lord, do you call it bhakti or not?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, you call it bhakti. This is called Aropa Siddha Bhakti. This is not Shuddha Bhakti, but still it is Bhakti. Krishna gave different, that's what we heard yesterday, right? The best, topmost, and then if you're not able to do, then the next, then the next, then the next, then the next, like that. So this is also in one of those. Krishna said, yes, whatever you do, you offer. Now the question is, what do you mean by whatever? Can we offer, what is to be offered? What type of work is to be offered? So we saw, like Mataji quoted that verse, Kavi, one of the Navayogendras said, anything that you do with your senses, with your body, with your mind, with your intelligence, with your ego, whatever you do, you can offer. You should offer. Now the question, and then after that, later on towards the end of Navayogendra's instructions, Avirhotra. So Nava means 9. There are 9 Yogendras. They are the 9 sons of Rishabdev who became great Paramhamsas, Nava Yogendras. So the last one, Avirhotra, he said that actually what is the work that you're supposed to offer? You should only offer Vedokta Karma. Vedokta Karma means work that is prescribed by the Vedas. You should offer means you should be doing only that work. You should only be doing that work which is prescribed by the Vedas, and that work you should offer to the Lord. But according to circumstances, circumstances means you're born into such a situation where you're not able to, or at least for the present moment, or because of your, swabhava, because of your nature, you're engaging in some type of dushkarma, that work which is not prescribed by the Vedas. What should we do? Can we offer that work or not? That's the question. Like, if we are doing vikarma, it's not prescribed in the Vedas. Should we offer that to the Lord or not? So it should be offered. It should be offered. But there are different types of people. What we should understand is there are different types of practitioners who are offering. One is a devotee who is offering, the other one is a jnani, and the third one is a karmi. Everyone offers, but the consciousness of the person who's offering, especially when you're offering Vedokta karma which is prescribed by Vedas. What is prescribed by Vedas? For each person, there's a particular prescribed duty. By birth, not by birth, by your work and by your nature, you will be, categorized as one person. Either you're a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and also Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanprastha, Sannyas. So Brahmana has these duties, Kshatriya has these duties which are prescribed by the Vedas. Why we should follow only the duties which are prescribed by the Vedas? So this is a long discussion actually, but maybe sometime we can do. But in essence, why we should do only what is prescribed in the Vedas? Because only the Vedas give us real knowledge, which is free from all defects. Any other knowledge which is produced, any knowledge other than the knowledge which is produced from the Vedas, that knowledge, it will have its source in our senses. That means pratyaksha means by my direct perception, I'm getting some knowledge. Or anumana, anumana means by inference, I'm getting some knowledge. Like scientists, right? You make an inference and you get some knowledge. Is that knowledge reliable or not? Even the knowledge which is inferred, it has its source in pratyaksha, in the senses. Why we cannot take knowledge which is coming by direct perception of the senses? Because the senses inherently are prone to defects. What are they? Brahma, Karana Patava, Pramada. And then there is another defect in the intelligence which comes in Anumana, right? Hypothesis and inference. That is called Vipralipsa. So Brahma means illusion. Illusion. For example, you go in the kitchen and you want to make sabji. So you think it is salt, but instead you take baking soda. You think this is salt and you put baking soda in your sabji. That is called illusion, taking one thing for another. Brahma. This is there in the senses. The senses are prone to illusion. Karana Patava means limited. My vision is limited. I can only see up to a certain point. I cannot see what is behind the wall. Same with other senses also. The perception through the senses is limited. Karana Patava. Pramada means because of Brahma, mistakes are done. And finally, Vipralipsa means cheating tendency. You are seeing everything properly, but because of your cheating tendency, you give false information. So because of these four, you cannot rely on any knowledge which is coming from direct perception of senses or inference. Why inference? Because inference is also coming from direct perception only. Then what can we rely on? There's a third type of pramana called Shabda. Shabda means knowledge which you derive by hearing from authority. So children, they hear what is right, what is wrong, how to keep yourself clean, so on and so forth. You know, the rules and everything. How they learn? By hearing. So this is called Shabda. But where did that person, that authority who's giving you this knowledge, where did that person get that knowledge from? If that person got it from somebody else and that person got someone else, who made these traffic rules, for example? Some human being only made, right? So that knowledge is also based on senses. So therefore that can also be defective. It doesn't mean that all knowledge is defective, but you cannot tell when it is defective, when it is not defective. That means you cannot rely on knowledge which is coming from the senses. But there is one source which is not defective, which is free from all defects. That is the Vedas. Why? That's also a long discussion. Why the Vedas are non-defective, why they don't have defect. In essence, a few things I can tell you. The Vedas are non-defective because they are not written by any human being. They have no beginning and no end. They are eternal. They give you all knowledge, all types of knowledge, whatever you talk about, within this world, for your dealings in this world, as well as all knowledge outside of this world, outside of this universe. That means spiritual topics also. Who is the creator, so on and so forth. All that knowledge you get from the Vedas. So for someone to qualify as non-defective Shabda, that should have all these qualities. And if you actually go down this list, you will see that others don't qualify. Nobody qualifies except the Vedas. And like that, if you finally analyze, now you can say, where do we have access to Vedas? Where are the Vedas? You may say that. So that has also been established. The Vedas are explained in the Puranas and Itihasas, which are available to us now. The Vedas and the Puranas and Itihasas are not separate from Vedas. They are also part of the Vedas. They are also given by Vyasdev. And the best of all Puranas is what? Tell me. Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam. Which one is the best of?
Bhagavatam.
So therefore Srimad Bhagavatam and the Puranas, these are non-defective Shabda. Any knowledge which is coming from Bhagavatam or the Puranas, Itihasas, Vedas, this you can accept without doubt. Even if you think there is some contradiction, still you should accept it. For example, Srila Prabhupada gives this in, you have done Bhakti Shastri, some of you. So you know, in the Vedas it is said, the stool of any animal is contaminated. If you touch the stool of an animal, then you should immediately take bath. The bone of an animal is contaminated. If you touch the bone of any animal, you must take bath. But the same Vedas say that cow dung, right, the stool of cow, actually they say in English, we say dung, you shouldn't say dung, right? Like you should say, I don't know, there's no word in English because they don't have that type of, in Telugu they say peda, right? Peda is, you can use that only for cows, not for anything else, because it's very, very pure. This cow's, stool, it actually purifies a place. Even a contaminated place becomes purified. This the Vedas say. Now you cannot argue with the Vedas. How you can say that you are contradicting yourself? No, you cannot say. That which is the authority has to be accepted as it is. There's no, and it has already been established how the Vedas are the highest. They are non-defective. So when they are non-defective, there's no question of accepting some parts and not accepting another part, because also another point is in Vedas, some points are explained with logic. Why? Because we want logic. So some points are explained with logic, but other things are not explained with logic. By the way, who tells us about this, that Vedas are the highest authority? That also the Vedas only say. The Vedas don't need someone else to establish them. They establish themselves. The position of the Vedas is established by the Vedas only. So there it is said that if somebody says that I will accept only that portion of Vedas which can be explained logically, and that part which is not explained logically, I will not accept. What do Vedas call such type of a person? They call him a cunning fox. They call him a cunning fox who accepts only certain portions of the Vedas which can be, logically, which can fit into my logic. Those I will accept. No. Authority means you have to accept authority. So anyway, so that's a long discussion, but in essence, the Vedas are the authority. Therefore, whatever work is prescribed in the Vedas, you must accept. You should do that work. Vedokta karma. Okay. So whatever work is prescribed in the Vedas, that you should do. Again, coming back to our discussion, you do whatever work, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, everything must be done for Krishna, the Lord said. So then we heard about Kayena Vacha, that verse. That means Kavi, Navayogendra is saying whatever you do, any type of activity with your body, mind, senses, intelligence, your false ego, everything can be offered. But the last Navayogendra is saying, Avirhotra is saying, you should only offer Vedokta karma, that work which is prescribed by the Vedas you should do. So for that I explained why you should accept the work which is prescribed by Vedas. Why you should accept the statements of the Vedas only? Because they are the ultimate authority. So then what type of work can you do? Should you do and then offer the work which is prescribed in the Vedas? So this whole topic, it has a long discussion. We won't be able to discuss it all in one day. So I will give you in bits and pieces each day. So today we just discussed what type of work should be done and what type of work should be offered. The work which is prescribed by Vedas only should be done if you are an intelligent person. You should do only that work which is prescribed by the Vedas, and then you offer it to the Lord. Then further we will see what are the advantages of offering your work and what happens when you don't offer your work. That's one. And also what type of work, right? Let's say I'm already doing sinful activities. Can I offer that or not? That's another question. So that also has to be offered, but we will discuss what are the conditions for that. And then we will see the different types of people. There's devotees, there is jnanis, and there is karmis, materialists. Each one is offering, but what is his consciousness when he's offering his, especially when we talk about sinful activities or dushkarma, vikarma, right? Any work which is not prescribed in the Vedas. When you offer that work to the Lord, what is your consciousness? That also we can see. So we will see that in the subsequent, classes discussion. Now we will go to Srimad Bhagavatam.
That's good idea, Mataji.
Yeah.
Because these questions do come up.
Yes, Mataji. So now let's do Srimad Bhagavatam because it's already 7:20. I didn't realize the time was flying. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 21. Bali Maharaj arrested by Vamandev. So what did we see yesterday? I'll quickly go down. Previously being empowered by providence, you defeated. So after Bali Maharaj was arrested by Varuna Pasha, right? Garuda arrested Bali Maharaj with Varuna Pasha. So, and all his soldiers are driven down to the hellish planets, to the lower planets. Now, Vamandev is saying to Bali Maharaj, what is Vamandev saying? That, no, not this one. So, Vamandev told to Bali Maharaj that you have promised me 3 steps of land. You have given me only 2. Where should I put my 3rd step? And anyone who does not keep his promise, he goes to hell. This is said in the scriptures. So in accordance with your guru's, curse, he said, right, you go to hell and you'll become poverty stricken, because he was upset. So you didn't fulfill your vow or your charity. You said you would give me 3 steps. You were not able to keep your promise. Therefore, now you have to go to hell, like that. So also Vamandev said that you possessed everything, right? As far as the sunlight goes, moonlight goes, the whole place you possess. But I covered everything with my 2 steps. There's nothing remaining. Where should I put my 3rd step? Like that. Then, because you have not been able to give charity according to your promise, now you should go to hell. So I think, I don't know where we stopped yesterday. Did we discuss this? I think we discussed this. Narayana Parasarve, devotees solely engage. Yeah. So to Bali Maharaj, it didn't matter. So the Lord said, Vamandev said, you go to hell. So that's what we spent a lot of time yesterday discussing on this point. Therefore, we went to Krishna book also. Why Krishna does what he does and how a devotee responds when Krishna does this. When Krishna is taking everything away, then it seems like he's not doing justice. So what was Bali Maharaj's response? He's a devotee. So the nature of a devotee is he accepts everything, and for him it does not matter whether he goes to hell or heaven. As long as he's able to do devotional service, he's very happy. So Bali Maharaj accepted it. That's what we read yesterday. So we'll go to the next verse. Achintadev Prabhu, it is your turn today. Vritha, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Vritha manorathastasya दूरः स्वर्गः पतत्यधः प्रतिश्रुतस्या दानेन योर्थिनं विप्रलम्भते. Yes, Prabhuji.
Translation. For far from being elevated to the heavenly planets or fulfilling one's desire, one who does not properly give a beggar what he has promised falls down to a hellish condition of life. Thank you,
Yeah,
Mataji.
thank you. So, what to speak of going to heavenly planets? Everyone wants to make progress, right? Even a materialist, he wants a more comfortable place. And after death, if he can go to a heavenly planet, that's good, isn't it? Who would want to go to hell? Everyone wants. And somebody who's done so many sacrifices and so on and so forth, he actually conquered the heavens, isn't it? But forget about going to heaven. Anyone who does not fulfill the promise he makes to a beggar, right, to give something, and if he does not fulfill that promise, whatever else he may have done, he won't go to heaven, but he'll have to go to hell for not keeping a promise, Vamandev is saying. So Vamandev said, you should go to hell because you didn't keep your promise. And then he's further explaining on that point. Anyone who doesn't keep his promise to a beggar, he cannot hope to go to heaven. He'll actually go to hell. विप्रलब्धो ददामीति त्वयाहं चाढ्यमानिना तद्व्यलीका फलं भुङ्क्ष्वा निरयं कतिचित् समाः. Okay, who's next? Inba, right? Or yeah,
Mataji.
yeah. Is Arunita going to read, Prabhuji?
No, Mataji, she's not ready yet.
She's not ready. Okay, Mataji also. Okay. So yeah, Inba, go ahead. Translation.
Being falsely proud of your possessions, you promised to give me land, but you could not fulfill your promise. Therefore, because your promise was false, you must live for a few years in a hellish life.
Being falsely proud of your possessions, you promised to give me land. Yeah. You were thinking, oh, 3 steps of land is nothing for me, right? So being falsely proud of your possessions, you promised to give me land, but you could not fulfill your promise. Therefore, because your promise was false, see, when you say something, and if that does not happen, what does that mean? That means you said something which was false, isn't it? You'd say that I will give you $10, and then for whatever reason you didn't have money or you changed your mind, whatever, you don't give it. That means you're saying that you will give $10 didn't happen, and you still said it, means you told a lie. Your promise becomes false. Because your promise was false, you must live for a few years in hellish life. Purport. Yes, Inya. Inya or Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji. The false prestige of thinking I am very rich and I possess such vast property is another side of material life. Everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and no one else possesses anything. This is the real fact. Isha Vasyam idam samam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. Bali Maharaj was undoubtedly the most exalted devotee, whereas previously he had maintained a misunderstanding due to false prestige. By the supreme will of the Lord, he now had to go to the hellish planets. But because he went there by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he lived there more opulently than one could expect to live in the planets of heaven. A devotee always lives with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, engaging in his service, and therefore he is always transcendental to hellish or heavenly residences. Thus end Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 21st chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Bali Maharaj Arrested by the Lord.
Yes. So, being falsely proud of your possessions, you promised to give me land, but you could not fulfill your promise. Therefore, because your promise was false, you must live for a few years in hellish life. So, to think that I'm very rich, I possess so much property, that's also material life, because nothing belongs to us. Sometimes, many times, devotees also fall under this illusion. Devotees means we are not devotees. We are all aspiring to be devotees. Yes. So we also fall under this illusion, thinking that I possess so much. I possess this or that. This is my land, right? And I have so many whatever assets. So actually the fact, and if I'm thinking like that, if I'm thinking that I am the owner of so much property, so much wealth, that means I'm still in the material life. It's another side of material life, because the fact is everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is actually craziness. Srila Prabhupada says that if somebody tells you that I'm giving you the Bank of America, what do you think about that person? If he's saying I'm giving you the Bank of America, means you don't own the Bank of America. How you can give it to somebody? You see? So therefore, I'm giving you the Bank of America can be said by a crazy person. So similarly, we don't own anything. We didn't come into this world with anything, right? But still, after coming, and we won't take anything with us either. Everything will remain here. But in between, I feel that I have this, I have that, and I'm great, and so on and so forth. This is actually craziness. So that's Prabhupada is saying that's another side of material life. This is the real fact, right? What is the real fact? Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. Sarvaloka maheshwaram. The proprietor of all the planets and their leaders is Krishna. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. Bali Maharaj was undoubtedly the most exalted devotee. Whereas previously he had maintained a misunderstanding due to false prestige. So why Krishna is saying, Vamandev is saying that because of your false prestige. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining previously he had that misconception that he is the owner and all that. But actually he is a great devotee. By the supreme will of the Lord, he now had to go to the hellish planets. But because he went there by the order of the Supreme Lord, he lived there more opulently than one could expect to live in the planets of heaven. So you see, the lower planets, there's not only one Swarga. There are different types of Swarga. In lower planets also you have Swarga. On the earthly planets also you have Swarga. Remember when we were reading in the 5th canto, in the middle is Jambudvipa. There even the other Varshas in Jambudvipa. They're all heavenly planets. And what to speak of subterranean heavenly planets? They're called Bilaswarga. And then, of course, you have Lord Indra's Swarga that is there. So, in fact, the lower planetary systems, heavenly planets, I mean, the Bilaswarga or the low subterranean heavenly planets as they're called, they're more opulent than the Swarga there. That's why here in the purport it is said that he lived more opulently than one could expect to live in the planets of heaven. But why he lived more opulently? Because he went there on the order of the Supreme. So devotee always lives with the Supreme Lord. So he is actually living in the transcendental world. Like yesterday, Priyanka Mataji sent me a quote about that. That for a devotee, there is no material world. Right? For a non-devotee, material world is miserable. But for a devotee, even the material world is Vaikuntha. Saujanya Mataji.
So Mataji, did Bali Maharaj really go to hell?
Yeah, Sutala, that's where he is now. Lower planets.
No, but he offered himself Atmanivedanam, right? That didn't happen. He had the 3rd step.
No, he didn't give 3rd step. That's why he was sent to Sutala.
No, Mataji, but Vamandev put his foot on Bali Maharaj's head and
pushed him down to Sutala.
Oh, it's like that. Not like you put your 3rd step on my head and that's Atmanivedanam.
Okay, even if you accept it that way, even if Bali Maharaj offered his head, because that head is not part of the property, so he can offer that. So then where should Bali Maharaj stay now? That means Vamandev has occupied the whole universe. He cannot continue to stay where he was sitting, right?
Patal.
Not Patala, Sutala.
Sutala. Oh, okay.
It will come. That will also come. We'll continue reading, and that will also come.
Thank you, Mataji.
Why specifically Sutala? Actually, why can't any other?
Why not Sutala? Is there any objection why he should not go to Sutala? The Lord decided that he should go to Sutala. But yeah, I don't know why specifically that planet, I don't know. The Lord said go to Sutala, so he went to Sutala.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
that means Vamana, in any of these two steps, he didn't conquer the hellish planets.
Can you say that again? There's echo. I'm
Did
not sure.
Vamana conquer any of the hellish planets?
Did Vamanadev conquer any other hellish planets? Vamanadev or Bali Maharaj?
Vamana, like with one of the steps.
Acha, like that. So you see, you have the surface, right? Surface of Bhumandala. So when the Lord covered the entire surface of Bhumandala, then everything below that is already covered. So yeah, everything below that it's already covered. Just like when he put his second step, he took the second step, all the upper planetary systems were covered. He covered the whole Swarga and everything higher also, up to Brahmaloka. Then they're one above the other, right? So everything was covered. So similarly, when he put first step on the earthly planet, then everything below was also covered. So yeah, everything is taken.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's read the next chapter. We are in chapter 22 of Canto 8. It's entitled Bali Maharaj surrenders his life. So now Mataji, what Saujanya Mataji was asking, he surrendered himself, he offered his head for the third step that will come. The summary of this 22nd chapter is as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead was pleased. The Supreme Personality of Godhead was pleased by the behavior of Bali Maharaj. Thus the Lord placed him on the planet Sutala. And there, after bestowing benedictions upon him, the Lord agreed to become his doorman. Bali Maharaj was extremely truthful. Being unable to keep his promise, he was very much afraid. How did the last chapter end? The Lord is saying anyone who does not keep his promise to a beggar, he has to go to hell. Right? That's how the chapter ended. So in this chapter, we are seeing Bali Maharaj is a very truthful person. That's why when Shukracharya said, you can go back on your word, he said, no, we cannot do that. Especially, I don't mind even going to hell, but I cannot lie to a Brahmana, he said. So he was an extremely truthful person. Being unable to keep his promise, he was very much afraid, for he knew that one who has deviated from truthfulness is insignificant in the eyes of society. An exalted person can suffer the consequences of hellish life, but he's very much afraid of being defamed for deviation from the truth. You see, to be known as someone who has no character, that is worse than actually living in poverty and going through material difficulties. This is for a man of character, right? For a man of honor. An exalted person can suffer the consequences of hellish life, no problem. But he is very much afraid of being defamed for deviation from the truth. Bali Maharaj agreed with great pleasure to accept the punishment awarded him by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bali Maharaj's dynasty, there were many asuras who, because of their enmity toward Vishnu, had achieved a destination more exalted than that of many mystic yogis. Asuras, they got a destination which is more exalted than the mystic yogis. How they got that destination? Because of their enmity to Vishnu. Because when anyone gets killed by Vishnu, he gets liberated, isn't it? So, in Bali Maharaj's, for example, take Hiranyakashipu. In Bali Maharaj's dynasty, there were many asuras, not one, many asuras. Hiranyaksha is there, Hiranyakashipu is there, but there are many asuras who got a destination more exalted than yogis because of their enmity to Vishnu. Bali Maharaj specifically remembered the determination of Prahlad Maharaj in devotional service. Considering all these points, he decided to give his head in charity as the place for Vishnu's third step. Bali Maharaj also considered how great personalities give up their family relationships and material possessions to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indeed, they sometimes even sacrifice their lives for the satisfaction of the Lord. just to become his personal servants. Accordingly, by following in the footsteps of previous acharyas and devotees, Bali Maharaj perceived himself successful. So, by giving everything to the Lord, up to the point of giving himself, right? Put your foot on my head means now I'm yours. You can do anything. Like I'm your slave, right? You can do with me whatever you like. Just like this property, I'm also like yours now. And after doing this, he felt himself successful. Why? Because for the satisfaction of the Lord, he gave everything that he had within his possession. He was not sad that I lost everything. He was very happy. He thought, now my life is successful. Why he thought like this? By comparing with the previous acharyas, previous devotees, who sacrificed even up to their lives for the satisfaction of the Lord. While Bali Maharaj, having been arrested by the ropes of Varuna, was offering prayers to the Lord, his grandfather Prahlad Maharaj appeared there and described how the Supreme Personality of Godhead had delivered Bali Maharaj by taking his possessions in a tricky way. Right? So both Prahlad Maharaj and Bali Maharaj, both are Mahajans. So Prahlad Maharaj came there and he confirmed, right? The Lord's taking everything away from you is not because he's come to you as an enemy or anything. This is actually the Lord's mercy, right? The Lord has delivered you by taking everything from you. While Prahlad Maharaj was present, Lord Brahma and Bali's wife, who was she, Vindyavali, described the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. Vindyavali described the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. Since Bali Maharaj had given everything to the Lord, they prayed for his release. The Lord then described how a non-devotee's possession of wealth is a danger, whereas a devotee's opulence is a benediction from the Lord. On this also there's a lot of discussion. I mean, it's wonderful. How by dint of devotional service, when you get opulence, it is not inauspicious. But by your material, by your karma, when you get wealth, that is inauspicious. But when you get wealth by devotional service, that is most auspicious, right? It's because it's coming from the Lord. It's coming from the Lord. Anything which is coming from the Lord cannot be inauspicious. So the Lord then described how a non-devotee's possession of wealth is a danger, whereas a devotee's opulence is a benediction from the Lord. Then, being pleased with Bali Maharaj, the Supreme Lord offered his disc to protect Bali Maharaj and promised to remain with him. So the Lord gave his Sudarshan Chakra for Bali Maharaj's protection, and he himself remained with Bali Maharaj. That means the Lord gave himself to his devotee. The devotee offered everything to the Lord. Is he a loser by offering everything to the Lord? No. When you offer everything to the Lord, you conquer the Lord, right? He is Ajita, one who cannot be conquered. But when one gives everything to the Lord, then the Lord becomes, right? What does Krishna say? Aham bhakta paradhina, right? I get defeated by my devotee. I get defeated by my devotee. I become, right? And he tells the gopis also, I cannot repay for your devotional service, right? So because he finds completely, not capable, like he doesn't have any wealth in his treasury which can compare, which can equate the devotional service, the surrender of the devotee. So being helpless, he just gives himself to the devotee. That we see here in the case of Bali Maharaj and Vamandev. Bali Maharaj offered everything and Vamandev didn't have anything to repay for that, because Bali Maharaj is not asking anything in return, right? But when we go to the Lord asking for some things, dhanam dehi, this dehi, that dehi, then he'll give you that and finished, right? But a devotee is very intelligent. Devotee does not ask anything from the Lord. Then what he'll get in the end? Because he's not asking anything and the Lord wants to give something, and because he won't ask anything, the Lord gives himself to that devotee. So we will read all that in detail in this chapter. Saujanya Mataji.
Two things, Mataji. Like you just gave examples, right? Like how Krishna said, when you give everything, then what does that mean? Like how he said to gopis. Similarly, even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's so many examples where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so happy with devotees because they're fully surrendered.
Yes.
And the second thing you just told us the last, my God, I'm sorry, Mataji. You just told, and after this, like, see how Krishna binds us when we give everything.
He gives himself to us. And he says he's not able to repay because he doesn't have anything to repay for the love of the devotee. So then he gives himself to us. Acha, aham bhakta paradhina. I become defeated by my devotee.
Yes. No, I forgot.
Okay, when you remember, you can tell.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so we can stop here and we will do Bhagavad Gita now. So where did we stop? Inia read. So Jai Ganesh Prabhu can begin tomorrow if Prabhuji is there. And Jai Shri Mataji. Okay. Bookmark. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. Chapter 18. Text 39. Please repeat. Yadagre chanubandhe cha sukham mohanam atmanaha nidralasya pramadottam tattamasam mudahritam. And that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be of the nature of ignorance. So we saw happiness and goodness, happiness and passion, and happiness and ignorance we are seeing today. What is happiness and goodness? You remember what is happiness and goodness?
Happiness is sense pleasure.
From what
Good.
we discussed yesterday.
Yeah.
What is happiness and goodness?
Yeah, you told us, Mataji.
It is like poison in the beginning and nectar in the end.
Yes.
That is the point.
You gave the example of getting up early and
Yes, correct. And what is happiness and passion?
let me sleep now.
Nectar in the beginning and poison in the end.
End.
How it is nectar? That happiness comes by contact of senses with sense objects. Like, let's say you like eating ice cream. You put ice cream in your mouth and you're like, ah ha ha. Right? And then there is poison in the end. Eat too much ice cream, you become fat. Or you get some other, cholesterol or this or that. Some health issue will come. But immediately it's nectar. Aha, nice. And then in the end, it turns into poison. That is the nature of happiness, which comes by sense gratification. When senses come in contact with sense objects, that happiness is like nectar in the beginning, but poison in the end. And this is happiness and passion. Happiness and goodness means you have to rise every day, even in the material world, right? So you have to, go to school, let's say, get up in the morning and, get ready and go. And day after day after day, year after year after year, you're going and you're doing, right? So that which is, or take medicine, Rasapriya is saying, yes, take medicine. It's bitter. So it's like poison in the beginning, but the result is you'll become relief from the disease. So like that. So happiness in goodness and passion. Now, what is happiness and ignorance? And that happiness which is blind to self-realization. So what did we say about goodness? Which is poison in the beginning and nectar in the end, and it actually gives rise to self-realization. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam. From sattva guna you get jnanam, knowledge. Knowledge means self-realization. But happiness and ignorance, it is blind to self-realization. Goodness and ignorance are just the opposite of each other. So which is delusion from beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion. So it is completely darkness. Delusion from the beginning to end, and it arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion. I was listening to Srila Prabhupada's lecture yesterday. Srila Prabhupada said, that's why I don't like sleep. because sleep is mode of ignorance. It's simply waste of time. I don't like sleeping. So this is mode of ignorance. Purport. One who takes pleasure in laziness and in sleep is certainly in the mode of darkness, ignorance. And one who has no idea how to act and how not to act, this is another thing, right? Who has no idea how to act and how not to act is also in the mode of ignorance. For the person in the mode of ignorance, everything is illusion. There is no happiness either in the beginning nor at the end. No happiness either in the beginning or at the end. For happiness and goodness, in the end, there is happiness, right? In passion, in the beginning, there is some happiness from sense gratification. But in ignorance, there's no happiness, neither in the beginning nor in the end. What happiness is there in being lazy? Do you actually feel good about it? Those who are lazy, they know. It's not fun to be lazy. You want to get out of it, but you're like, you don't know, you're not able to come out of it. So there's no happiness in the mode of ignorance, neither in the beginning nor in the end. For the person in the mode of passion, there might be some kind of ephemeral, like superficial happiness in the beginning, and it's distress in the end. But for the person in the mode of ignorance, there is only distress, both in the beginning and at the end. So, mode of ignorance is not at all recommended. We should get out of. Better than the mode of ignorance is the mode of passion. But better than the mode of passion is the mode of goodness. And better than the mode of goodness is transcendence. So if we are in goodness, at least come to passion. If you are in passion, try to come to goodness. And if you are in goodness, try to come to transcendence. Like that. Srila Prabhupada's Leela Amrita, continuation. So Srila Prabhupada, remember, is attending Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Vyas Puja in Vrindavan, and he read his, glorification of his Guru Maharaj, where he's really shaking up all his God brothers and devotees to don't be complacent and just be satisfied with, doing your little bit of deity worship and living peacefully in your temples. That's not the mission of our Guru Maharaj, like that. As he read the poem, its truth exploding in the midst of the gathering of aging sannyasis, some approved and some were incensed, obviously. Right? Some people got very angry. What is this? You think you are the one, like that. So some were angry, some were incensed, but some approved. Those who were sober, they approved it. Their meeting, however, took no new direction, right? Not that those who agreed, now they started doing something. No, the meeting didn't take any new direction. They did not sit down together and plan as he had pleaded. Swami Maharaj's poem was taken as another poetic expression or as an opinion. The God brothers were inclined to let the old wounds heal with the passing of time, to go back over the whole thing again and reconstruct the mission as it had been before when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati had been present, and to attempt all those ambitious programs. How was it possible? They were getting old. Some did not want to leave the shelter of Vrindavan. They would worship Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati within the holy dham. If Bhaktivedanta Swami could do something more, let him go ahead and try. Bhaktivedanta Swami returned to Keshi Ghat, thoughtful. For many years he had been unable to take a leading part in the mission because of family commitments. In 1935 in Bombay, his god brothers had even asked him to be president of the Matha there. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had said that it was not necessary that Abhay Charan join them. He would come in his own way. Now, by the grace of his spiritual master, he was ready to fulfill the meaning of sannyas. The Krishna conscious world he had described in his poem was not a utopia presented merely to incite his god brothers, a dreamer's talk of the impossible. It was possible. But in any case, he had to write and print Krishna conscious books and preach abroad It was what Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati wanted. If his god brothers would not do it jointly, then he would do it. That was Srila Prabhupada's determination. If nobody came, it's okay, I'll go alone, I'll do it. In January of 1961, one of Bhaktivedanta Swami's Delhi acquaintances had shown him an announcement for the Congress. Announcement for the Congress for cultivating human spirit, a convention to be held in Tokyo, May 10th to 20th. Okay. The theme was World Peace through cultivating human spirit. International participants were invited. As soon as Bhaktivedanta Swami had seen it, he had wanted to go. Although his main interest had always been the United States, if Japan presented itself first, why not? And their invitation was in English. If they accepted his reservation, they would pay for his board and lodging at the convention hotel, although he would have to pay his own travel expenses. Okay. Bhaktivedanta Swami wrote to the sponsors, the International Foundation for Cultural Harmony, and proposed a speech. How should one cultivate human spirit? The Secretary General of the foundation, Mr. Toshihiro Nakano, wrote back to him at Keshighat, expressing his high regard both for Indian spiritual culture and for his proposed presentation. Mr. Nakano also enclosed an official certificate, as he had requested, stating that Bhaktivedanta Swami was a bona fide visitor to their convention whose expenses in Japan would be paid. They requested, to whom it may concern, that his passport and visa be granted in time for his May 10th arrival in Japan. Bhaktivedanta Swami then conceived a special project for the convention. The 10th canto, 20th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam presents a description of autumn in Vrindavan. And for each seasonal phenomenon, the Bhagavatam presents a parallel teaching from the Vedas. For example, it compares the dark, cloudy evening of the rainy autumn season to the present age of Kali, when the bright stars of Vedic wisdom, the saints and scriptures, are temporarily obscured by a godless civilization. You understood the analogy? So, the night in the autumn season of Vrindavan, night, what happens? Autumn season means there are rains. So at night, because of the rains or the clouds, the stars are obscured. You don't see the stars when it is cloudy in the night. No moon, no stars. So that night, autumn night of Vrindavan is compared to Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga is the age of darkness. And what are the stars and moon that are obscured in this darkness? The scriptures and the saintly persons. They are obscured. You don't see them in Kali Yuga. The chapter contains dozens of such examples, and Bhaktivedanta Swami proposed 50 commentaries to accompany 50 illustrations to be displayed at the convention, right? So he would have 50 pictures, like paintings, for 50 commentaries that would be displayed. He began preparing the commentaries, which he entitled The Light of Bhagavad. So all of you have seen that book, The Light of the Bhagavad, and there you will see the faces of the persons. They're all Japanese. So which he entitled The Light of Bhagavad. He wrote directions from which an artist could design a painting to go with each lesson from the picture. 50 pictures and commentaries, Bhaktivedanta Swami felt, would make an impressive display for visitors at the convention. The convention organizers liked the idea. So we will continue tomorrow. So we see Srila Prabhupada was never disheartened, right? So many reversals, so many failures, but even if there is a little hope somewhere, he would be very inspired by that. He would take that opportunity. Again and again, we will see, even when he came to America also. If one person showed some interest, immediately he would be like, there's so much opportunity here. People are showing some hippies, one or two persons hearing, but he would have this You would be very, very happy. Just like here, you know, they accepted, and he's so enthusiastic, right, to present from the 10th canto, and he's planning, and he's giving his full 100%. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for your
Thank you,
attention.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. That's the mission spirit. He wanted to, right?
Yes, Mataji. Yeah. Hare Krishna. All of you have a wonderful day.